bird on a tree. I'm just sitting here, I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together, it's so beautiful, you and me. We're meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free.
Hello guys, well, Saturday again. Where do I start? As you know, I've had Ford Ranger for 5 years. My wild track, my pride and joy. It's been giving me a few problems over the last year. Anyway, long and short, I've decided in my infinite wisdom to go out and buy a cheap, brand new Ssang Yong blue, whatever, KGM these days, Musso pickup truck, a Saracen Plus. Been driving it for the last day or so, and you know what? I figured out I made the worst mistake of my life. Can't believe I've done it. I wasted so much money on that Ford Ranger, that wild track, because of that little blue badge on the front. This KGM Musso, believe it or believe it not, is absolutely bloody amazing. Amazing. 33 grand, brand spanking new. I am absolutely blown away with it. It looks ugly, yeah. It's a Musso, yeah. Well, you know, when Kia came to this country, people said the same thing about Kia. Now just open your eyes when you drive down the road. How many Kias do you see on the road? I'm telling you, this Musso, I laughed as well. I was joking about it as well, but I got one, and I am eating my words. In fact, you know what? I'm going to show you. Come with me. Right then guys, so a little bit of background. Ssang Yong, they've been in the UK for over 30 years. That's a long time without the usual market breakthrough model. But they've created an entire market for themselves as a decent, tough, dependable, reliable brand. If you need a vehicle for true workhorse capability. Did change slightly with the recently updated Tivoli, but that's a small city SUV. I think they're bringing some pure EVs out as well over the next few years. But they've got a reputation for a strong off-road capability. It's still pretty much at the forefront of the brand. A lot of people that buy them, they're more focused on a vehicle that can tow caravans in comfort more than anything. But the Musso, from when I was doing the research on it, it's based on the same architecture as the Rexton. The Rexton, that is. So the Rexton's the large 7-seat SUV. It's got a body-on-chassis construction, which helps with towing capability and obviously off-road ability. It's a bit of a unicorn in the car world, really, because it's only got 4 direct rivals in the UK. You know, you've got the Ford Ranger, which I've had now for 5 years, and which I'm retiring. You've got the old faithful, indestructible Toyota Hilux, and the VW Amarok. They're well established, you know, the good workhorses. The D-Max, that's the other direct competition. So there's only 4 main bits of competition for these trucks in UK. So the Musso was designed to be a workhorse, but it makes sure its passengers are catered for further up the model line you go. It's got only one choice of engine. It's got a 2.2 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder diesel. It runs at 203 brake, 441 Newton meters. It's a strong engine. It never really feels rough. It's not clattery. It does have that diesel rattle when you first start on a cold morning, but if you need a burst of acceleration, it settles down into a quiet background rumble. It's certainly a massive step up from the previous 2.2 diesel in the pre-facelift. The drivetrains and everything, they used to use a Mercedes type drivetrain in the Ssang Yong models, but they're doing everything in house all by themselves now. So your base model, the EX, it's focused more on being a work vehicle. It's got a cloth interior, 6-speed manual. It's the only variant actually that's offered with a manual gearbox, and it's a far more basic interior with no touch screens or anything like that. But it features auto headlights, LED, daytime running lights, Bluetooth, auto wipers, heated door mirrors. And then you go up to the Rebel, the Saracen, or the Saracen Plus, and the level of luxury just increases dramatically. The one I've just bought is the Saracen Plus. All of the models, rather than the base EX, are modelled with a 6-speed auto transmission, which is really smooth. It's quite refined. It never sort of bounces around either on or off-road, and unlike some other gearboxes, it stays in a lower gear and uses its pretty massive whack of torque to propel it forward, rather than changing down needlessly and disturbing yourself or your passengers like the Ranger does. You know, the Ranger was like that, but I had it remapped with a company called Pack Tuning, so it didn't do it so much. I'd say really the Musso isn't a fast vehicle, but you never really feel desperate for more power. It can't match the speed of the V6 Ranger or the Raptor, the ridiculous Raptor, or a V6 Amrock. But is that really something you need when it's designed as a work vehicle? Not that it really matters. The Ssang Yong, you know, it's good for 0 to 62 in about 11 seconds. And it'll do about 114 mile an hour with an automatic, or about 116 with a manual. The rest of the driving experience is pretty much as expected. It feels big and stable, especially this Saracen Plus. It's got an extended wheelbase and bed. The steering's a little bit light, but it seems to have a lot more feel. It's far better at self-centering itself than the Rexton. General ride comfort, that's definitely a step up from the pre-facelift model as well. It's definitely better than a Isuzu D-Max and the Toyota Hilux, but it's still not quite at the same level as an Amrock. It gets a bit closer to the Ford Ranger feel than anything really. The off-road capability of this Musso are really impressive. You know, they are really good. They've been tested in places like the Peak District after heavy rain and some really slippery conditions, and because it's got body on chassis construction and a good set of tyres, you know, it's nothing more than trustworthy and confidence inspiring apparently. It runs off the rear drive most of the time, so it's like a Ranger, just 2-wheel drive, rear wheel drive most of the time, but you can select 4-wheel drive, both high and low range. I mean, if off-roading is part of your regular life, you'll just enjoy it. The Saracen Plus, they get an 18-inch alloy, 255 tyres. Everything else is some 17-inch with 235s. The inside of the Musso, to be fair, it's a real surprise when you first get in one, but in a completely positive way. It's just like the updated exterior. The interior feels modern, well screwed together, and just as the oily bits under the engine are shared with the Rexton as most of the interior, if you don't look out the back, you just think you was driving a sub-premium large SUV. The dash is covered with soft touch materials. The roof and the doors, the infotainment system is really easy to use. It's responsive, and if you step up to the Saracen Plus models like this, you get a 12.3-inch touchscreen, where generally you just get a 9-inch screen on the Rebel. All these seats here, the Napa leather seats, they're heated and cooled but front seats are heated and cooled and fully electric both sides. Steering wheel's also heated, and the rear seats are heated. That's a really good specification of vehicle. Comes in about 41 grand for the Saracen Plus, but if you don't need the bigger bed, it's about 39 grand. They come with the DAB digital radio, Bluetooth, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and a rear view camera as standard. One thing I will say though, it's not wireless Android Auto or CarPlay. You have to actually plug into the USB-C slots in the centre console. The climate controls, they're not physical buttons in the higher models, which is a bit of a shame for what's meant to be a work vehicle. But it's wipe clean, so you can just run a damp cloth over it and clean it all off. You're not going to get any crap down the side of the buttons. Not at all. So the Musso, it's only available as a double cab, so you'll get 4 in comfort, 5 at a push. You get a great goldfish bowl like view. There's lots of glass in it, high driving position. It's easy to get comfy, and there's a lot of adjustability in the seats and the steering wheel. The rear visibility is really good as well, but the side windows are a little bit too tinted, you know. It's good though. The range is the same, you know. The Wild Track, you get dark tinted windows in the back of that, so you're pretty used to it. It's not bad. But physically, I mean, the Musso's a little bit shorter than the Hilux and the Ranger. It's about 200mm shorter. But if you get the Saracen Plus like this one, it's another 310mm on the length of the bed. The Musso's wider than the other Ranger and the Hilux. It is wider. The interior, again, loads of places to put stuff. You've got this cavernous centre cubby under your elbow. It's massive, it's so deep. And then even in the door pockets, you've got places for your big bottles of water. You've got where you pull the door shut. I mean, I can get my fag boxes in there and my lighters and shut the keys in there and all sorts of other garbage. There's loads of room to store stuff. In the flatbed, it's well designed, it's well shaped, it's got a 12-volt power supply. There's some rotating hooks for the cargo. It can hold a standard Euro pallet, and it's got I think the maximum payload of about 1095 kilograms for the short bed and 1215 for the long bed. It's actually the only pickup currently on sale that can tow 3.5 tons and carry a payload of about a ton at the same time. That's a massive win for the Musso over its rivals. And also the Saracen models have got the ability to carry up to 75 kilograms on the roof rails. Now, bearing in mind that the older Rangers used to be able to pull 3.5 tons and carry a ton, but the newer ones can't. They've been derated. That's madness really, but that's how it is. So yeah, the Musso's the only one that can truly do that now. Running costs. It's got an official mile per gallon figure of about 34 to the gallon on a manual, 32 on the auto, but I think in the real world, from what I've tested, we're looking at the high 20s if you're doing a little bit of driving in the city, and that's obviously with nothing in the back bed. CO2 figures a little bit higher than the rivals, but it qualifies for light commercial vehicle tax, so it's about £320 a year for the tax. Musso again, what can I tell you about the fuel? Right, so it's got a 75 litre fuel tank, which it means the range is about 500 mile. Current cost of diesel though, you're looking at empty to full filling costs for about 90 quid. It doesn't come with start-stop system, but that's something I can live with. And it's around about the 50D insurance group, which is a bit higher than its rivals. Saying that, Samsung it counters this with a 5-year 100,000 mile warranty, and you only get 3-year warranties with the rivals again. Overall, I'd say that the Ssang Yong or the KGM Musso, it's definitely a good proposition in the pickup world. It may not be as fast as the Ranger Raptor, or have the luxury of an Amrock, or the invincible reputation of the Isuzu or the Hilux, but its interior is a massive step up from either of the latter. It's better off-road than the Amrock. It costs 15 grand less than a Raptor. And even if you ignore the Raptor, which we understand it's not a direct rival, the Musso, it only just loses out on the class-leading Ranger in its on-road dynamics and running costs. This updated Musso, it's a seriously good workhorse. It costs less than its rivals, does many things better, and it should be at the top of your list, to be fair. It should be. I love it.